Mr. Lychwick, anything else before we bring the jury in?
I can't think of anything, Your Honor.
Okay, then let's call for the jury.
Yeah, we'll re-swear him today. Thank you for reminding me.
All rise to the jury.
Thank you. You may be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the delay in getting you back into the courtroom. Sometimes I'm pretty good at judging the amount of time that we're going to need, and other times I'm not as good at estimating the amount of time we need. And other times things come up that we just can't foresee. So we've taken care of a lot of legal issues, though, that otherwise would have required additional breaks as we go through this morning. So at least you can take comfort in knowing that we knocked out a number of other things and can get going now. So with that, Detective, you are still on the witness stand. I'm going to have you come back up and be re-sworn this morning.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Attorney Thompson, you may proceed.
Thank you. Detective Stern, there are a couple areas that I'd like to circle back on with you before I finish where we left off yesterday. In front of you on the witness stand, do you see exhibits 153 and 154?
Yes.
And can you remind us what those exhibits are?
These are boxes of 9mm ammunition that was located in the trunk of Mr. Lychwick's vehicle.
Was that as a result of the search warrant that was executed on December 2nd of 2024?
Correct.
I would move exhibits 153 and 154 into evidence.
Mr. Lychwick, any objection to the admission of 153 and 154?
I object.
Okay. Over the objection, the evidence will be received.
Now, Detective Stern, we also talked yesterday about the grid search that was performed the day after Moxie went through the property at 1512 East North. Do you recall that topic of your testimony?
Yes.
And you were referencing divots that you observed at the top of the hill in the area of one of Moxie's trained final responses. Do you recall that as well?
Yes.
Do you remember approximately what time on November 20th you and your other officers went back to this property to actually conduct this grid search?
I don't recall the exact time. I would estimate it around 10 to 11 a.m.
Was it light out or dark out?
It was light out.
Okay. Now, was Specialist Schmidt taking photographs during this grid search?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, can you turn on the screen, please, for the witness only? Detective Stern, I'm showing you what is marked as State's Exhibit 220. Do you know what Exhibit 220 is?
Yes, this is one of the photographs taken during the grid search.
And what specifically does Exhibit 220 document from this grid search?
These are the two divots that I described yesterday.
And, well, actually, first, I would move Exhibit 220 into evidence and ask to publish to the jury.
Any objection to the receipt of Exhibit 220?
Yes, I object.
That objection is noted. Exhibit 220 will be received. Any objection to publication of 220, Mr.
I
Lychwick?
object.
All right, and again, Exhibit 220 will be allowed to be published.
Now, first on your screen, Detective Stern, I'm showing you what has previously been admitted and published to the jury as Exhibit 87. Can you remind us what is in Exhibit 87?
This is what we've been referring to as the top of the hill, the far back portion of the property at 1512 East North Street. And that further back where you see the more of the green coming up, that was the area that we discussed the final train response from K9 Moxie.
And if we look at Exhibit 220, can you circle for me where you see these divots that you're talking about? Can we please screen capture this and mark it as 220A, and I would ask that it be received?
Yes, it will be received as 220A with the markings. Please wait a moment while we confirm the capture.
Now, Madam Clerk, can you please clear the screen for me? If we go back to Exhibit 87 here, Detective Stern, I'm going to ask you to mark two different areas of Exhibit 87, if you can remember. Can you please circle where Moxie had her final trained response in this area? And then can you also circle or put an X where these divots are that we just saw in Exhibit 220? Can we please screen capture this and mark it as Exhibit 87B, and I would ask that it be received.
It will be received as 87B, just to clarify the record. Then the first markings that the detective put include the green arrow, which is simply a product of touching the screen, and then the green line right above the arrow. The second marking for the divot was placed where the X is.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Detective Stern, on November 20th, when you and your fellow officers were conducting this grid search, sorry, I'm trying to think of how exactly I'd like to ask this. Strike that. When you and your fellow officers are conducting this grid search, is it easy or difficult or something else to hear each other?
It was difficult to hear up there. That was one of the biggest notices I noted, one of the things that we noted the most. This was the most amount of time we spent up there based on the methodical grid search that we were doing that day. We noted that you can't really see the road from there, and with the traffic noise during the daytime and some wind that was coming through, we were having difficulty hearing each other while we were speaking to each other. And we were speaking about that as we were conducting this grid search.
Now, how far away are you guys from each other when you're conducting this grid search?
I mean, as we're doing the grid search, if one person's working on one square and one person's working on the other, we're about 3 to 5 feet away from each other.
And approximately how wide were these squares?
Approximately 3 feet by 5 feet.
So, am I understanding correctly that it was difficult to hear each other even though you're only 5 feet away from each other?
That was what we noted.
Now, we left off yesterday talking about Mr. Lychwick's arrest on December 6th of 2024. Do you recall leaving off at that topic?
Yes.
Now, on December 6th of 2024, after he's arrested, is he brought back to the police department?
Yes, he was.
And are you in an interview room with Mr. Lychwick at the department?
Yes, I was.
Were you present when Detective Barrett came in to execute the buccal swab warrant for Mr. Lychwick's buccal swabs?
Yes, I was.
Prior to having any discussions about the facts of this case that we are here to talk about today, did Mr. Lychwick make any comments to you about activities related to German gun shows or arts or pieces of art or artifacts?
Yes, while we were in this interview room, we were making kind of small talk, and he talked about art business that he was involved in, and then he mentioned again that he had traveled a lot back and forth from Germany to America in his youth, how much time he spent there, and then he talked about how he would take artifacts from Germany while he was over there and bring them back, and that he could find people that would purchase them, specifically at antique shows and gun shows.
Madam Clerk, can you turn on the screen just for the witness, please? Detective Stern, when I say an interview room at the City of Waukesha Police Department, are those rooms equipped with audio and visual recording devices?
Yes, they are.
Okay. If you look on the screen in front of you, what is marked as States Exhibit 181, do you recognize the room that you're in?
Yes, this is one of our interview rooms at the Waukesha Police Department.
And do you recognize the individuals in this video?
Yes, I am wearing a green jacket. Mr. Lychwick is wearing a gray long-sleeve shirt.
Okay. And this particular clip, which is 58 seconds long, does that detail the conversation or record the conversation topic that you just testified about?
I believe it will.
I would ask that Exhibit 181 be received, and I would ask to publish to the jury.
Any objection to the receipt of Exhibit 181, Mr. Lychwick?
I object.
Okay, over the objection, it is received. Any objection to the publication?
I object.
Over the objection, it may be played with the jury.
All right, I'm playing from the 0-second mark.
I was already selling antiquities and art since I was like 15, going back and forth from Europe. I started with the military antiques. My dad's buddies at work wanted this, and everything had to have a swastika. I still can't get over that.
Really?
Everything had to have a swastika with these people. I mean, the American collectors, everything, they want this Nazi garbage left over. And there was plenty of it left over in Europe.
Right.
Yeah. I was getting it for nothing over there, and I was bringing it back here, and I was making tons of money. And I was laughing at these people, you know, moth-eaten uniforms and flags, and these guys were almost fighting each other at the gun. I was selling them at gun shows.
Yeah.
And you had all these different types of people there at the gun shows.
There's some crazy,
Yeah.
some crazy people at the gun shows.
I'm telling you, I remember a lot of the gun shows I went to in Milwaukee, and the Milwaukee County Tactical Squad guys would be walking through checking for illegal stuff.
Now, on I'm sorry, strike that. Now, the one thing I was going to ask you about the buccal swab is, during your research into Mr. Lychwick, were you able to determine if he had an identical twin?
He does not have an identical twin.
Did you talk earlier about how he had a younger brother?
Yes, he does have a younger brother.
Okay. Now, did there come a time where you reviewed a recording that involved Mr. Lychwick and another individual on June 10th of 2025?
Yes.
And during that recording, was there a part where Mr. Lychwick referenced war bags?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give the jury a general overview of that particular part of that recording?
Yes. During that recording, the individual asked some questions about information that had been made public post the preliminary hearing. And he then basically discusses what was found in his vehicle. And he describes them as my war bags. He also accurately describes some of the things that were in the bags that we had located from the search, indicating to me that he knew about these bags and that these were his. They were not anybody else's.
I object.
What's your objection, sir?
The prosecution here has their witness inferring that the term war bags is sinister. But as an Air Force veteran, the detective knows that the bags we carried our equipment in were called war bags.
Okay. Mr. Lychwick, your objection is noted. The jury can draw appropriate inferences from the evidence. It's their determination to make. So the objection is overruled, and as far as it relates to the admission of the defendant or the detective's testimony. Go ahead, Attorney Thompson.
Madam Clerk, can you please turn on the screen just for the witness? Detective Stern, up on the screen in front of you momentarily will be State's Exhibit 213. Do you see that exhibit?
Yes.
And is this the recording that you listened to from June 10th of 2025 involving Mr. Lychwick?
Yes.
Had you reviewed this portion of the recording prior to your testimony today?
Yes.
And is it a fair and accurate depiction of the recording when you listened to it for the first time and notated that in your report?
Yes.
I would move Exhibit 213 into evidence and ask to publish the audio to the jury.
Any objection to the admission of 213, Mr.
I
Lychwick?
object.
Okay, your objection, as previously discussed, is noted for the record. The court will allow Exhibit 213 to be entered into evidence. Any objection to the publication of the audio only, Mr. Lychwick?
Yes. I
All right,
object.
your objection's noted, and the court will allow audio publication of Exhibit 213.
Okay. I am starting at 24 minutes and 37 seconds. pausing at 26 minutes and 6 seconds. Detective Stern, is that the conversation that you heard when you first listened to this recording?
Yes.
Now, if we move on then to an additional warrant that you completed during the course of your investigation, specifically related to Mr. Lychwick's Gmail account. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And since the screen is still only up in front of the witness, I am going to show you what has previously been marked as State's Exhibit 214. This is a 12-page document, and as I scroll through, please follow along with me. Okay, do you recognize Exhibit 214?
Yes.
And generally, what does Exhibit 214 contain?
214 contains examples of search terms and visited websites that I received from Google in response to the search warrant that I submitted to them for this case.
And how did you determine what Mr. Lychwick's Gmail account was?
The Conrad Lychwick at gmail.com, as previously discussed, was discovered being used in his phone after that was forensically downloaded and examined.
And when you reviewed those records, do you recall the time frame in which you received the records from Google?
Yes, I requested and was approved by the judge for January 1st of 2024 until, I believe it was December 6th, the time of his arrest.
Okay. Did you go through those Google returns?
Thoroughly.
And do you know about how many pages there were?
The Google returns are a very large document. There is a lot of data that Google holds for those accounts. If I had to estimate pages, it would be thousands, if not tens of thousands, if you were to print them out individually. It is quite a lot of data.
In your experience, or actually, first I will ask, in your capacity as a detective, have you ever prepared warrants for Google records before?
Yes, I have in previous cases.
And have you reviewed Google records before in your past investigations?
Yes, I have.
Based on that experience, are you aware of whether Google or providers of that nature keep things in their records that may not necessarily be maintained on an individual's phone?
Yes, based on my training experience, data that's held on the phone, if you write to the company that owns that account, they will likely have or can have more information than what's actually still contained on the physical phone.
Is Exhibit 214 a document you prepared in anticipation of your testimony in this case?
Yes, it is.
And does it contain any searches or items that you determined were of significance in the investigation into Mr. Lychwick?
Yes, it does.
And are these, how did you prepare this document?
I prepared this document by physically going into the Google returns, specifically the search history portion that was provided to me by them. And then I basically created screenshots of the searches that we found that were likely related to this investigation.
Now, did these records come from Google in UTC form?
Yes, they do. It's standard that these companies will put the timestamps in UTC, therefore it's on us to convert them to the proper time zone.
And in this case, when we are converting to the correct central time, depending on the time of year, whether it's daylight savings time or not, would we be subtracting either 5 hours or 6 hours from the UTC time in the Google records?
Correct. Based on whether daylight saving time is in effect or not, based on those dates, It would either be minus 5 hours from UTC is Central Time or minus 6 hours from UTC is Central Time.
Okay. I would move Exhibit 214 into evidence and ask to publish to the jury.
Any objection to Exhibit 214, Mr. Lychwick?
I object.
Okay, the court notes also document 94 filed by the state prior to the trial, so based on that as well, the court will allow 214 into evidence. Any objection to publication, Mr. Lychwick?
I object.
The court will allow publication of 214 to the jury.
I am not going to go to the full screen. Instead, I will zoom in because some of this is a little small. Now, Detective Stern, when we start on page 1 of Exhibit 214, what are the first couple pages of this exhibit referencing?
These are various visited sites or search terms regarding storage spaces from November 1st, 2024.
What was the date Mr. Maldonado's remains were recovered?
October 30th, 2024.
Now, when we see in particular, the first two searches on the screen right now, we can see viewed and we can see visited. Do you know what the difference is between the two of those?
I do not.
Okay. Now, if we continue scrolling then, the next search that comes up, so now we have a total of 3 searches on page 1 of this exhibit. Is this another storage search?
KO storage, I believe, is another storage search.
Now, what is the date on these searches again?
November 1st, 2024.
And so if we were to convert the UTC time to Central Time, would these times be approximately 8:28 a.m., 8:22 a.m., and 8:46 a.m.?
Yes.
Now, did you see more searches related to storage units on November 1st of 2024 then?
Yes.
If we continue to the bottom of page 1 of Exhibit 214, and we continue on to page 2, are there still more searches for various storage units?
Yes.
Okay, now continuing on to page 3, are we still seeing searches for storage units on November 1st of 2024?
Yes.
Now, all of these searches between the first 3 pages of Exhibit 214, if the first one would have been at approximately 8:22 a.m. on November 1st, if we convert it to Central Time, from your review of the records, how long throughout the day was Mr. Lychwick searching for storage units?
I recall the math that I did between the first and the last one on that day was approximately 9 hours of time.
When you were reviewing these Google records going back to January of 2024 until November 1st of 2024, did you ever see any searches related to storage units on Mr. Lychwick's Gmail returns?
No, from January 1st of 2024 until November 1st, there were no other searches regarding storage units.
Now, in Exhibit 213, we heard something about a 38 referenced by Mr. Lychwick. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Did you see 2 searches in those Google returns from February 1st of 2024 related to that?
Yes.
Okay, can you describe for me what these searches are?
Yep, one is a visited site for 38 special firearms for sale at Bud's Gun Shop. And then another was a searched for 38 cal revolvers available today.
In the search of Mr. Lychwick's vehicle, did you ever recover a 38 caliber revolver or firearm?
During the search of that vehicle, no 38 caliber.
Objection.
What's your objection, Mr. Lychwick?
Item of truth. He's lying.
Mr. Lychwick, that is not a proper objection. I'm instructing the jury to disregard the statement by the defendant. The answer will stand. Detective Stern, you may continue your answer.
Not only during the search of the vehicle, we did not recover or locate any .38 caliber as described in that audio clip that we heard. We searched his apartment twice, and no .38 special as described was ever, of any kind, was ever located in his apartment or his vehicle.
As you continued going through the Google returns, on February 1st of 2024, did you note searches related to jumpsuits or overalls for sale?
Yes.
When we consider what is included in Exhibit 214 later on, did these particular searches become relevant to you in connecting to some of the later searches?
In terms of the searches from the Google return?
Yes.
Yes, they become relevant.
Okay. Now, if we continue then, were there searches on these Google records for carcass disposal?
There were viewed websites. I did not locate any search term that led him to there, but he was this account was using or viewing websites regarding carcass disposal and disposal of spoiled food.
This search that we have in front of us on page 4 of Exhibit 214, what is searched for?
On April 21st, 2024, there is a search for map of landfills in Wisconsin.
Is there a search that happens approximately a half hour after the map of landfills search?
I don't know if it's a search or if it's a viewed site. That's right here is the visited. So it was not a search, but a website where the article was entitled Carcass Movement, Processing, and Disposal. It was from the Wisconsin DNR website.
Okay, and thank you for correcting me on that term. So when you receive these Google returns and you see visited, are you able to click on the link to take you to the article?
Yes.
And did you, in your review and preparation of Exhibit 214, go to that article and include screenshots of it in Exhibit 214?
Yes, the following screenshots are from that link that we see as the visited.
And April 21st of 2024, how many days is that after Mr. Maldonado was murdered?
Approximately 7 days.
And when we consider the date of this search in reference to the trail cam footage from May 2nd of 2024, how many days in between that are there?
Approximately 10 days prior to the videos from May the 2nd.
Now, if we continue scrolling on page 5 now of Exhibit 214, is this the article that we saw was visited regarding carcass movement?
Yes.
And can you describe for the jury then what information is contained in this article?
Yeah, this article is talking about CWD, or I believe it's chronic wasting disease, with deer, moose, elk, and then it notes some sites where there are sample and disposal locations. If someone was to suspect that the animal they may have harvested might have CWD.
I object.
What's your objection?
These inferences are unfounded, unproven connections with this case.
Okay, as far as it relates to relevance, the court will overrule the objection on relevance grounds. And as for inferences, Mr. Lychwick, it is up to the jury to determine the proper inference to be drawn from the evidence introduced. So the court will allow the testimony to stand. Attorney Thompson?
As we continue through Exhibit 214, does the article continue that you have screenshots here?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what are we seeing on page 6 of Exhibit 214?
So this is the Wisconsin DNR's suggestion for how to dispose of a carcass. They're speaking about deer and harvested animals. However, I noted that their opinion was that carcass waste should be disposed of so that it ends up in a landfill. There was some other notable, dispose of your deer carcass waste in a landfill, transfer station, municipality curbside, pickup, bury the deer carcass. That was another suggestion by the DNR on how to handle it.
When we come to the recommendations for hunters section, are there 3 suggestions by the DNR on how to dispose of the deer waste or the carcass?
Yes.
And are they listed in order of effectiveness? Per
Yes.
the DNR.
Per the DNR, the article indicates the following options are listed in order of effectiveness.
Okay, what are the 3 options?
Dispose of your deer carcass waste in a landfill, bury the deer carcass waste, or return it to the location of the harvest.
As we continue then onto page 7, what did you note about the suggestion in this article about moving a carcass?
The safest option for disposal is to ensure the waste ends up in a landfill.
In your review of these records, was there any suggestion about using opaque or black bags?
You don't see it on this article that there's another article that recovers this, but under the processing your deer, there's the standard direct common sense for hunters or anybody that's handling a carcass to wear rubber gloves and minimize contact and all that.
As we,
Objection.
Your objection?
The defendant was asked whether the color of the bags was important in this article, and he hasn't substantiated that.
Okay.
His explanation.
So the objection is essentially non-responsive. The witness did answer the question and clarified that there was another article that dealt with that, so I'll allow the witness's answer to stand. Again, the jury can infer inferences.
as we continue through and finish the DNR article, at the bottom of page 7 of Exhibit 214, is there a notation for another website that is visited?
Yes, it was another article. This one is from the USDA. How can I dispose of spoiled food safely?
And what is the date of that search?
This is also at April 21st, 2024.
Were you able to then place or follow that link and have a screenshot of what the user would have seen if they had followed that link?
Yes, that link is depicted in the screenshot below the visited annotation. And
what, if anything, did you observe that was relevant to the investigation into Mr. Lychwick?
The USDA's suggestion in this article that was viewed by this account, it's very short and simple. When disposing of spoiled food or products possibly contaminated with botulism, place the food, swollen metal cans or suspect glass jars in a heavy opaque or black garbage bag. Close and place the bag in a regular trash container or bury it in a nearby landfill.
As we continue going through the Google records, did you also observe searches for paper bags?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and are those denoted here at the top of page 8, both on April 21st of 2024 and April 22nd of 24?
Yes.
Now, we have heard some information from the Operation Starling note, which I believe was Exhibit 147, about Minnesota. Do you recall that part of the note?
Yes.
And as you go through these Google returns, did you see searches or visits or viewings related to Minnesota?
Yes.
Okay. Now, February 12th of 2024, what is this search?
Latest Minnesota missing persons.
Then, as we continue, is there a search from actually, sorry, strike that. On page 8 of Exhibit 214, in the two searches closest to the bottom of the screen, what are these searches?
There are two searched terms here. Can stress cause the tongue to swell up? Both of them are the similar search, yes.
Okay. Now, right now, this date is April 16th of 2024 at 4:40 and 25 seconds a.m. in UTC. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So if we go back 5 hours, would Central Time actually be April 15th of 2024 at 11:40 and 25 seconds p.m.?
Yes.
What is the significance of that then related to Mr. Maldonado?
It's approximately 24 hours after he would have been killed.
The next.
Objection.
What's your objection, Mr. Lychwick?
The state and the prosecution do not know exactly when the poor decedent was murdered.
Okay, Mr. Lychwick, that is an inference that the jury can draw, and they can assign the proper weight to the evidence as they see fit. The witness's testimony will be allowed to stand. Attorney Thompson, you may continue.
This next search after the stress question, what is that search for and what date was that?
On May 20th, 2024, there was a search for ACLU, which I believe is the American Civil Liberties Union, for police surveillance.
And approximately how much time is in between this search and the day that Mr. Maldonado was killed?
Approximately 4 to 5 weeks.
As we continue to page...
Objection.
Your objection?
What exactly does that have to do with this case? Relevance.
Okay, the relevance objection is overruled. Attorney Thompson?
Moving to page 9 of Exhibit 214, what was visited by Mr. Lychwick?
He visited basically the link is still twitter.com, but it was specifically Brett Lemoyne, who is a local reporter, and a Twitter post.
And if we, what's the date?
It's October 31st, 2024, 1:29 a.m. in UTC.
So if we subtract 5 hours from that time, what would be the central time, date, and time of this visited action?
I am no good at math, but it's late night on October the 30th.
And did you follow this link to find this particular, or to see what the post was?
Yes, I did.
And is this a screenshot of what you saw when you followed the link?
Yes.
Now, what is the next viewed item that you could see?
The City of Waukesha Police Department.
And if we subtract from UTC time, that would be approximately 9:25 p.m. on October 30th. Is that fair?
Yes.
Now,
Objection, Your Honor.
What's your objection?
At this point, I think everybody in Waukesha was looking up that site to see what was going on there, including my other neighbors.
Mr. Lychwick, that's not an objection that would prevent the testimony from coming into the record. You can argue that inference, but it's not an objection to prevent the testimony. The testimony stands. Attorney Thompson, you may continue.
the section that is on top of page 10 of Exhibit 214, the first box, if you could read that for us, please.
Sure. November 25th of 2024, 3:43 a.m. in UTC. Search for Waukesha News for November shooting.
And first, if we convert that to Central Time, would that then be November 24th at 10:43 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in the context of this investigation and that timeline in Exhibit 164 we were looking at, what happened shortly after on November 26th of 2024?
On November 26th, we executed the first search warrant at Mr. Lychwick's apartment.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Now, this is specifically a search that we can see. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, on November 24th, Mr. Lychwick searches for Waukesha News for November shooting. At this point in your investigation, had the fact that Mr. Maldonado been shot been released to the public?
As of November 24th, no, it had not.
Objection.
What's your objection?
This has nothing to do with the homicide investigation ongoing at 1512 North Street.
Mr. Lychwick, your objection on relevance is overruled. The testimony will stand. Attorney Thompson, you can continue.
The next box that we see here on page 10 of Exhibit 214, what was visited?
It was a news article entitled "Officers Find Body Wrapped in Tarp Near Frame Park in Waukesha."
And again, in converting this, would that have been November 24th of 2024 at approximately 10:53 p.m.?
Yes.
Did you then follow this link to the article that was visited?
Yes.
Okay. In looking at this particular article, can you see when the original posted date was?
Yes, October 31st, 2024.
Okay. And now Mr. Lychwick is searching for this on November 24th of 2024. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, as we continue through Exhibit 214, did you then see at the bottom of page 11 any search terms from January 9th and 12th of 2024 that had relevance to you?
Yes, the weather in Sturgeon Lake, Minnesota.
Objection.
Your objection, Mr. Lychwick?
What does that have to do with this case? That's my private life.
Mr. Lychwick, that objection on relevance grounds is overruled. The jury can draw its own inferences from the testimony. Testimony stands. Attorney Thompson?
As we continue through the last page of Exhibit 214, are there additional searches related to an individual listed on the Operation Starling note?
Yes, searches for Raven Tanya Frederick with other various qualifiers behind him.
When we reviewed, and let me know if you'd like to see Exhibit 147, but when we looked at Exhibit 147, do you recall seeing anything related to obstacles or potential obstacles to that operation?
Yes.
Was there anything related to getting in and out of different states?
Yes, there's. If you gave it to me, I'd be able to read it verbatim. Otherwise, I could summarize.
May I have permission to approach?
You may.
Okay. Detective Stern, I've given you State's Exhibit 147, and I'll give you an opportunity to review that.
I have it.
Okay. Is there anything in there about getting in and out of certain states undetected?
Yes. Right here, obstacles to operation. It is secrecy and entering and movement in and around Minnesota without leaving a footprint.
The last search on page 12 of Exhibit
Objection.
2.
Yeah. Are you objecting to that answer or this question?
The answer and the question.
Okay, I'll take your objection to the answer. I haven't heard the question yet, but what's your objection to the answer?
The objection is that, quite simply,
Mr. Lychwick, again, without testifying, give me your legal basis for the objection.
I simply did not search for anything like that.
Mr. Lychwick, without testifying, give me your legal basis.
Lack of connection to the case, lack of proof that this is connected to the case, that I actually looked up something like that?
Okay.
Did they see me look that up?
That's a relevance objection. Your objection, like all of your other relevance objections, are overruled at this time. The jury can draw its own inferences from the testimony and determine the weight, if any, to give to this testimony. The answer will stand. I will hear the next question in its entirety. If you have an objection to the question, you may voice it at that time. Attorney Thompson?
What is the last searched for item on page 12 of Exhibit 214?
March 3rd, 2024, 6:51 a.m. UTC. Are there license plate readers at the Minnesota-Wisconsin border?
What is a license plate reader?
That would be a camera that would capture a license plate.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You can take down the screen now. I do not have any other questions for this witness.
All right. Mr. Lychwick, cross-examination.
Detective Stern, you have maintained that you became suspicious of me because you stated that the victim's name was not on your search warrant, your first search warrant that you furnished me with on the 26th of November, 2024, and that I blurted out the victim's name while reading the search warrant. Is that correct?
I first became suspicious of you when you were identified in the May 2nd videos. However, I understand, I know what topic you're speaking of, yes.
But yet I have here a copy of the search warrant that was given to me in discovery, and the original copy of the search warrant is still in my apartment. And it states in there clearly.
Well, hang on. I don't want you to testify. If you have a copy of the search warrant, you can show it to the witness. My bailiff can have it delivered to the witness. The state will be able to see it first. Attorney Thompson, are you going to have any further exhibits after 220A?
No.
Then this will be marked as 221.
Okay.
I refer the witness to look at page 2.
Well, he has to have the document first. Mr. Lychwick, we're going to mark this as Exhibit 221.
Okay.
I'll have the bailiff show it to Attorney
So
Thompson.
this is the final page of it. This is the final page of it. On page 2, Detective Stern, I believe paragraph 2, what does it read?
Carlos Maldonado's name is on this document.
That's correct, isn't it? Isn't it, Detective? Yet you maintain in your official reports even, and led this jury in court to believe that the guilty man would only know the victim's name, and that you're inferring that I was guilty of this crime because I blurted out his name, and you're saying it wasn't on there. You were lying, Detective, weren't you?
No, I was not lying.
But you stated a fact that was not in evidence here, that was not real, that was not in reality.
I did not testify to this during this trial.
But you did maintain in your official reports that are being used in this trial that that's why you became suspicious of me.
No. Again, the suspicion arose from the May 2nd videos. There is an error in my report where I believed that the name was not in there based on the draft that I had written.
Oh, now you're admitting that there was an error, but you don't bother to clarify that before now.
I'm going to object first. He didn't even let the witness finish, and second, it's argumentative.
Okay, it is argumentative. I'm going to allow the witness to finish answering the question that you posed. Detective Stern?
When I wrote my report, I did note his use of the name. I believe that based on the draft that I had written, which did not include the name, that was accurate. His name is on this warrant that was presented to him.
Okay, Mr. Lychwick, your next question.
Detective Stern, are you familiar with the search of the boiler room at my apartment building there?
Yes.
And you're aware then that the cadaver dog alerted to the boiler room, the interior of the boiler room?
Yes.
And are you aware that I had no access to the boiler room?
I'm not aware one way or the other if you had access to the boiler room or not.
You didn't bother to check that out, Detective?
I'm aware that you did not have a key issued to you for
That's
the boiler
right.
room.
There was no way I could have gotten into the boiler. I've never been in the boiler room. Was my scent discovered in the boiler room?
Okay, hang on. The jury will disregard the testimony of the defendant about whether or not he was in the boiler room. You have to ask questions. I think you were about to ask a question about whether or not your scent was detected in the boiler room.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Ask that question.
Was my scent detected by the cadaver dog in the boiler room?
My understanding of the cadaver, I'm not a canine handler, specifically you'd have to refer back to Ms. Gumman's testimony. The dog does not look for specific people's scents.
In your opinion as a detective in this investigating this matter, the lead detective, did you ever suspect that I had any access to the boiler room?
There were times when we were on the property where the boiler room was left wide open. So in theory, anyone who could get into the garage could get into the boiler room. But I am aware that he was not issued the key when it was supposed to be locked for the boiler room.
Are you aware that the boiler room was almost always locked?
I'm not aware because
I will ask Mr.
Hang on. You've asked a question. Let him answer.
I'm not aware because I do not have 24/7 surveillance on the state of the boiler room if the door is left open or not. We noted when we were there several times throughout this investigation, sometimes it would be open with no one around.
Well, I can prove then my point if I could summon the building's owner, Mr. Soper, to testify.
Mr. Lychwick, you have to ask a question of this witness. Ask a question. Do not testify.
Did you ever talk to Jeff Soper about the access to the boiler room and how often it's locked or left open?
I personally did not talk to him about that.
Did he ever mention anything to you about this?
No, because I did not talk to him about that.
Are you aware of your interviews an initial suspicion of the building's groundkeeper named Nathan Pauley?
Yes.
And are you aware that Mr. Pauley did have access to the boiler room?
Yes.
Are you also aware that Mr. Pauley spent a lot of time habituating the area, the actual area in which the decedent's body was discovered?
No, I'm not aware of that.
I was told that you knew everything about this case.
I'm going to object. That's not a question.
That is argumentative. That is stricken. The jury is to disregard that. Mr. Lychwick, ask a question.
Did you ever interview any of my neighbors or other witnesses at my building who saw Mr. Pauley habituating the area where the decedent's body was recovered?
I'm going to object because that is going to call for hearsay.
No, the question was, did you interview any other neighbors or witnesses? So I'll overrule the objection. The witness can answer.
Yes, I interviewed neighbors and witnesses, not regarding Mr. Poli. I would reflect back to Detective Bloom's testimony about Mr. Poli being eliminated as a suspect in this case.
He may have been eliminated as a suspect in this case, but that is not the specific questions at hand right now.
That's also not a question, Mr. Lychwick. Ask a question.
Detective, was Mr. Poli, Nathan Poli, of apartment 1 at 1512 East North Street, an initial suspect in this homicide?
Yes, he was investigated as a potential suspect.
And was he cooperative with you and your department?
Yes, he was.
Your Honor, this contradicts
Mr. Lychwick, ask another question.
Was Mr. Poli ever uncooperative during your investigation of this matter?
No, as Detective Bloom already testified, he provided consent for the search of his apartment, the download of his cell phone, a DNA sample, all sorts of things that helped us continue this investigation early on.
Detective, regarding the missing .38 caliber pistol from my war bags, do you have a gun collection?
I'm going to object as to relevance.
Mr. Lychwick, what's the relevance of this witness's personal gun collection?
This has relevance at 2 points, Your Honor. To try to possibly connect the the detective to the presence of this firearm supposedly found in my war bags, and the missing .38 caliber pistol from the war bags.
Okay. The court fails to see the relevance in whether or not this witness keeps a personal gun collection. So on that basis, the objection is sustained. Next question.
Detective, in my attempts to retrieve my brand new cell phone that you confiscated from me and my other phone, especially before I had to purchase another phone, even though I had visited the station several times trying to get my phone back, you had initially promised me that you would return it right away and that the search of my phone would only take but a day. Is that not correct?
That sounds familiar, yes.
But yet you refused to return my phone. So you were being untruthful, weren't you?
No, I was not. To provide context for why not is because if there was nothing on the phone, then yes, it could have been returned as soon as it was searched. However, evidential value items were found after the phone, and the best practice is to not only use the download that was created, that image by Detective Fine, but to keep the original phone if there was ever a question of whether that download did in fact come from that phone. So I could not return that phone after it was determined that it had evidential value.
You still weren't telling me the truth, were you, Detective?
I don't believe that's an accurate characterization.
The truth would have been to level with me and tell me what you were doing and to apologize for not returning the phone as you had promised. But you did not do that, did you? You were deliberately misleading me, weren't you?
I was not deliberately misleading. Once again, I don't know what's on the phone at the time that it's seized. If there was nothing of evidentiary value, then yes, the phone would have been returned. However, evidential value was located, so we kept the phone. There was no intention to deceive Mr. Lychwick.
But after, you know, it was supposed to be returned and you weren't returning it is what I'm referring to. You still didn't level with me. You were deliberately being misleading in this matter.
I'm going to object. That's asked and answered.
Objection sustained. This has been asked. It has been answered. Next question.
Your Honor, I'm trying to establish the credibility, the integrity of this witness.
The objection is sustained. Next question.
Detective, are you and any other police officers that you know involved in the fraudulent creation of case materials against citizens such as myself that you know are innocent?
I'm going to object as to relevance, and quite frankly, it's argumentative too.
Sustained on those grounds. It's argumentative. It's not relevant. Next question, Mr. Lychwick.
Detective, are you at all fearful of being exposed for corrupt conduct in this case?
I'm going to object.
Same objection, same ruling. Mr. Lychwick, ask an appropriate question.
I'm trying to, Your Honor. I really am.
Next question.
Detective, as far as one's movement around one's own property or even on the street at any hour of the day or night, are we at Marshall, at the time of your investigation, before I was arrested and moving around on Mr. Lefebvre's camera in the backyard there, were we at martial law in this country, or was there a curfew established prohibiting citizens to be indoors instead of outdoors at those hours?
No.
Thank you. Do you have any proof that I walked on the so-called footpath towards the poor victim's body?
No, there's no definitive video showing that. We showed you the extent of the videos that we characterized to you as detectives believing that it was suspicious, that I believe it was suspicious.
Just answer the question, Detective, please. You've answered it. You said that you have no proof. Detective, on the mud that you and the prosecution are making such an issue about, that I was scraping off of my boots at the end of my hike through the back of my yard. Do you have any proof of where that mud came from, that it had any link to this case or the poor victim's location where he was resting there at the crime scene?
No.
Thank you. The L-shaped holster on my list that you refer to as a holster, do you now, I believe in your reports you admit you now, but the jury has not heard of this yet, I believe. You now admit that you know what that was. That was an old camera case, right? And you understand that the item in it was the green camping flashlight that you found in my car.
I'm going to object. That was never testified to. That's facts not in evidence. And the form of the question.
Your Honor.
Ask that as a question. Are you asking the witness, does he know if the L-shaped holster was a camera case and a flashlight? Is that your question?
Yes, it is.
Okay. The witness may answer that.
No, I do not know what's on his hip in those videos.
Did you not later discover what it was?
No, I still don't know exactly, to say definitively, what's on his hip in that video.
But if it please the court, you did seize those items from me. You have the case, it's in evidence, and you have the green flashlight, which was just shown to the jury yesterday.
Yes, there was a green bendy flashlight. It would require me to render my opinion. I don't believe the silhouette of in the video displays the very short flashlight. You'd have to compare it for yourselves to make that determination. Ultimately, I don't know what's on his hip in those videos.
Detective, in any way, shape, or form, as a man who's handled firearms and who has at least seen this evidentiary firearm that you're saying that you're maintaining was used in the homicide you're trying to link to me, can you sit there and tell the jury that you think that odd-shaped, awkward-looking pistol was on my hip in those frames?
Again, I'm not saying what is or is not on his hip. I'm saying I can't. I'm not saying that it's a gun. I'm not saying it's a flashlight. I'm just noting the piece of equipment that he was wearing in that video.
Okay, Detective, but to try to explain this matter to you further and for the sake of the jury and the court, in your reports on this matter, which I can dig out if I have to, you maintain, you're trying to, in the report, it's clear that you are trying to make that look sinister by saying you felt it was a gun on the suspect's hip. Is that correct, Lieutenant? Is that correct, Detective?
Yes, I believe that the phrasing I use is that it is potentially consistent with.
Detective, in your work and your report writing as a police officer, do you use the terms operations and staging area and so forth a lot?
No, not in my work as a police officer.
But those are terms used in your work.
No, they're not.
You don't use the word operations?
Perhaps the TAC team or police, I'm not on the TAC team. They may use an operation or a staging area. Just in my general work as a detective, no, I don't use those phrases.
But you are familiar with those phrases because you have contact with the tactical team. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Detective, when you and Detective Smith, or Specialist Smith, I'm sorry, I can't remember his title at this time, when you were in the pole barn methodically searching my car, my 2022 Kia Forte, do you not admit that you don't know what the duct tape that was in there, like anybody may have, was used for? That it only resembles what you're trying to link to this case.
Can you rephrase that, please?
Sure. Do you admit that you do not know what the duct tape that you located in my car, which was, first of all, Lieutenant, a sub-question.
Hang on. Okay. We got to ask really simple questions here. Okay. So ask a one-part question. Are you asking the witness, does he know for sure what the duct tape was used for? Or if you have another question in mind, just ask a nice, simple question that this witness can easily give an answer to.
Detective, do you know what the duct tape was used for?
No, I don't know what anybody uses any of their personal items for because I'm not watching them 24/7. So no, I don't know what the duct tape may or may not have been used for.
All right, thank you. And in your opinion, when you found this particular roll of duct tape in my car in December of 2024 during your initially unwarranted car stop, the search was warranted. In your opinion, was the roll of tape brand new or was it used?
I'm going to object to that question. That is a legal conclusion for the court, which has already been decided, and the court has previously told Mr. Lychwick that.
The objection is sustained. The court is striking the question. Mr. Lychwick, you can ask a question without the editorializing.
I wasn't aware I was editorializing, Your Honor.
The issue of the stop of the vehicle and the search of the vehicle has been ruled on by the court. Ask a question.
Your Honor, I was stating what was already.
Ask a question.
So, Detective, you bring up the fact that I had to purchase a new phone, which, for all what you know, I would have done anyway, because the phone that you initially seized from me was an older phone, was it not? It was an older model of the Samsung series of cell phones, right, Lieutenant? Right, Detective?
I know that it was a Samsung A12. I'm not familiar with where that falls in their model. I don't know if it's older or not.
And then the second phone that you seized from me was my Samsung A15. Is that correct?
I believe that's accurate, yes.
And are you aware that the Samsung A15 is much better in performance than the Samsung A12?
I'm going to object as to relevance.
Overruled. Do you know?
I do not know, but I would make the assumption it is based on the newer model number.
You have never heard you never heard people talking up this particular phone or used one yourself?
No, I'm not particularly, I don't follow tech. That's not one of my things. I have my phone. I personally use Apple, so I'm not familiar with Samsung.
As far as my having to rent a new car when you were in possession of my car, I mean, from your reports already and evidence, you have seen that I was researching legal advice on this case already, and I was looking into filing a complaint against you and your department with the Fire and Police Commission, which is rather difficult to find in Waukesha. I had to do considerable searches to find
Judge,
it.
I'm going to object. I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is not a question, and it's the editorializing that the court
I'm trying to
has.
build up for my question, Your Honor.
I know where the question was going, and based upon what's in your question already, I'm sustaining the objection. That is not relevant. It has nothing to do with the facts that the jury needs to consider in this case. So confine yourself to questions that have relevance to what's at issue here.
I'm trying to, Your Honor. Detective, do you know exactly why I had to rent the rental car from Enterprise Rent-A-Car?
No, I don't know why, especially as I previously testified. I offered and even drove to his house once to give him a ride back, that car could be released and would have been released to him. So I do not know why he rented a new car.
Do you know why I did not want to get into your car with you at that point and ride back to your station with you after your reluctance to return my things to me and after what you did to my apartment?
No, I don't know why.
Yet you make an issue of it. Why did you make an issue of it?
Because in the totality of the circumstances of what we've been looking at, what I knew at the time that we did that, at that point I knew about the matching of the ballistics and the DNA. Basically, based on the totality, I'm noting it as a suspicious behavior. I found it to be a suspicious behavior. We were going to give him this car back. We made several attempts, and he didn't.
You found that suspicious.
I did, yes.
That's a personal opinion. That's not any proven fact.
That's correct.
Thank you. Detective, are you also aware that I believe it was your second suspect was the decedent's girlfriend in this case?
Yes, there was another suspect in this case as well.
And may I ask the defendant to answer a question about the decedent's girlfriend?
The witness, you mean?
May I ask the witness of this?
I don't know what the question is going to be.
The question would be, did the decedent's girlfriend have any, did she have a father, a brother who may have gotten involved in this case? Did they suspect any of her relatives?
You can answer that question.
Yes, both the decedent's girlfriend was investigated as a potential suspect, as well as her son-in-law was investigated as a potential suspect, both of whom were ruled out after the same residential search warrants, searches of cell phones, cell data, all of that went into each one of these three people that he's referencing, and nobody else provided any evidence that they were involved in this incident. Only one person had evidence that they were involved with this homicide.
Detective, is it possible that you missed something along the way?
Anything is possible, but I do not have any evidence to suggest that there was something missed.
Would you, may I ask the defendant, may I ask the detective to reiterate that anything is possible?
The answer stands. The jury heard it.
All right, thank you. Detective, did you suspect a motive initially of how and why this poor deceased girlfriend may have been involved in his homicide?
I'm going to object to that, and the basis is relevance, and I believe it is coming very close to the court's pretrial rulings on this issue.
The court sustains the objection. Mr. Lychwick, you've established that there were other suspects. The witness has answered that those suspects were ruled out. Motive is not anything that needs to be proven in a case, and the jury will be instructed about that anyway. So at this point, we're getting away from relevant evidence, and the court has already ruled pretrial. So you may continue with your questions.
Detective, on the matter again, if I could bring you back to Nathan Pauly, your first suspect in this homicide, this dreadful homicide, if you will. Is it true that your department was charged with trying to find Mr. Pauly to testify here during these proceedings?
During which time frame?
Just before we convened on the 8th of June, in the week at least before the trial began.
I was on vacation personally in the 2 weeks before this trial. I am not aware of what was going on at our apartment. I wouldn't be able to speak to what anybody was doing.
Are you aware that, are you at all aware of the fact that Mr. Pauly is missing?
No, I don't believe that he's missing.
You're not aware of that, Detective?
No.
Interesting.
Move to strike.
That's stricken. Mr. Lychwick, we don't need the editorial comments.
Again, Your Honor, I wasn't aware I was editorializing. I'm sorry.
When you make comments after the witness's answer, that is editorializing. Ask your next question.
I will try to keep that in mind. Detective, have you ever heard the well-known saying that cops collect guns? They're some of the biggest gun collectors around.
You object to relevance?
What's the relevance?
The relevance is to the suspicious appearance of these firearms in this case and the missing firearm in this case.
Again, whether or not this witness collects guns or knows that police officers collect guns is irrelevant here. Ask your next question.
Detective, when your thugs entered my apartment and destroyed...
That's enough, Mr. Lychwick. Either ask appropriate legal questions or I'm going to stop your cross-examination.
When your men entered my apartment and, Your Honor, and they destroyed my apartment.
Mr. Lychwick, ask a question.
When your men entered my apartment and destroyed my apartment, I have 5 pictures hanging on the living room wall, as you well know.
Judge, I'm going to object. This is going to continue being the defendant testifying.
Mr. Lychwick, what's the relevance of the pictures hanging on your wall?
The relevance, I'm trying to establish the defendant's character and his integrity here.
You are the defendant, Mr. Lychwick.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I am trying to establish the detective's integrity and his ethics here, his morality.
If you have, excuse me, if you have an appropriate legal question to ask, you may ask that. But I don't see the relevance of pictures on your wall. The editorializing that the officers destroyed your apartment is improper. So ask a question. If you have a specific question about the search of your apartment.
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, then ask that question.
Detective, I would like to know why members of your team chose to remove my picture of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy from the wall by my office area and throw it on the floor and smash it.
I'm unaware of any damaged property. I don't know anything about that.
You don't?
I do not.
Do you know of any hostile feelings towards President Kennedy or what he stood for amongst your officers?
I'm going to object as to relevance.
Sustained. Next question.
Your Honor, at this time, I believe that's all I have for the witness.
Okay, any redirect, Attorney Thompson?
I do have one question. When we look at Exhibit 87, which is the top of the hill where Moxie's train final response was, are there any lights up there?
No.
What about the footpath area where Mr. Maldonado's body was found?
I believe there's a light adjacent to the parking lot that would provide it there. That light might cast over there, but I don't know if I could say for certain if the light would cast over where the body was found or not.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Lychwick, would you like Exhibit 221 moved into evidence? That is the search warrant that you showed to the detective.
Yes, please, Your Honor.
Any objection from the state?
No.
All right, Exhibit 221 will be received into evidence. Detective, you may step down. Attorney Thompson?
I do not have any further witnesses. The state would rest subject to any rebuttal.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the state's initial case is concluded. That necessitates that we take a break. I anticipate that this might be about a 10-minute break, and then we might break early for lunch and come back after lunch. So for now, we'll take a short break, and I will call you back when we are ready. Again, because the state is rested does not mean that it's time to discuss the case.